Welcome back to Forum 13. In case you just joined us, we're at the Burpee Museum of Natural History. We're beginning Tuesday, and all through the summer months, through August, there'll be a live reptile exhibit, courtesy of Dennis Mcfall, who's been showing us around and showing us the various species that are on display, all from his own collection. And we're looking at a number of different lizards. Am I correct?
Yes. These are basically my favorites. These are the monitors. The monitors are lizards that get quite large. They live in Australia, they live in Africa, they live in Southeast Asia, but we don't have any of the monitors in North America. The largest one here, the greenish, is a Nile monitor. The one behind it, the little light brown one that's laying down, is a savanna monitor. The savanna monitor comes from the desert areas south of the Sahara, and the Nile monitor occurs all along the Nile River. What he's doing right now is he's mad at us, so he's puffing up and getting himself as big as he possibly can. His tail there is a weapon also. He whips it real fast. He can sting when he hits your arm or your face. The tail, you can see, also has a ridge on it. Now that's because he's so aquatic. He needs that for propulsion when he goes through the water. That's why we have a tank in here for him. The one back behind the savanna monitor is also a smaller Nile monitor. This larger one is about 4.5 feet long, and you have to know how to handle these animals, especially when they're warm. All exothermic animals, the reptiles, when they heat up, they get real energetic. When they're cold, they're very easy to handle. This particular Nile monitor, when I was transferring it, was very warm. So when I grabbed a hold of him incorrectly, he showed me what his claws could do, and that's why we have these rips here. So you do have to use care with these larger animals.
Let's show the one on your forearm there. Now, how deep were those feathers?
They're superficial. Okay. They didn't go very deep. But he let me know that he didn't like being handled.
Now, when you're talking about during the day, certain times, is he more cold than other times of the day, more warm in other certain times of the day?
From where he lives in Africa, especially in the tropical areas, it's constant temperature, just about. It's in the 80s all the time, night and day. But when you bring him into captivity like this, he's usually cooler in the morning, and that coolness will slow him down quite a bit.
Now, how sharp is that tail of his? It looks, you got the ridges on there, and he uses it to swim, but how sharp is that tail?
Well, it's not like a razor or anything like that, but the main effect of that tail is just swiftly swinging it like a bat. That's what he does with that.
Now, I can only see one eye looking at us, but he definitely knows we're here. Yeah. How good is the vision on these particular animals, and what is the peripheral for these particular animals?
Well, because their eyes are on the sides of their heads, they can only see one half of their vision. They'd have to be able to turn their head sideways with the other eye to be able to see like we do. But I would imagine their vision is relatively good because they do live in the open areas near the Nile, and they do find some of their prey through sight. They have a very long tongue similar to snakes, so that's a very important part of their prey hunting ability. The forked tongue is attached to an organ on the top of the lizard's mouth. It's called a Jacobson organ. The Jacobson organ can take what the tongue senses and send a signal to the brain telling that lizard or snake whether he's got food or something that's poisonous. And that's how they hunt food, by tasting the ground, tasting. If they find a carcass, they'll taste it. If it's in their repertoire of food, they'll eat it up.
Well, he's got me scared, so we're going to move on to something a little more docile, some turtles.
These are boxed turtles, which live most of their life on land. Most of the ones that were in the stores were an aquatic type called the red ear turtle. This little box turtle running across here is the eastern box turtle, which lives in Illinois, in the southern half of the state. These lighter brown ones are three-toed box turtles, and these turtles are extremely old. A man that I know had these for 30 years in captivity. He found them as adults, and then he gave them to me. So they could be up to 60 years old. This one over here has got kind of a smashed shell on it, and my theory is that it was run over by a car or something very heavy. Just to show you that the turtle shell does afford quite a bit of protection. The three-toed box turtles are mainly the eastern box turtle west of the Mississippi. When it's west of the Mississippi, they call them three-toads. Over here, this one with the stripes on is an ornate box turtle, and they've been found in Ogle County and in Winnebago County also. They're also called the western box turtle. They're most common west of the Mississippi.
Now, see, there was something I didn't know. You said that these are not aquatic turtles. These are land turtles.
Yes.
I thought all turtles were aquatic.
Well, all turtles can float or swim, but the aquatic ones are much more streamlined. They have to move quicker in the water. That's where their food is. They have to be able to catch some very fast food. The box turtles just cruise around and usually eat vegetation mostly, or earthworms, or slow-moving insects.
Now, this one seems to be cruising around pretty good right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a young female, and she has laid eggs before, but apparently the eggs weren't fertile. I have a male right here that she's housed with.
So basically turtles just have to wait for their food to come to them?
They go around just like she is, okay, and hunting for it. There are some turtles, especially the larger ones like the alligator snapping turtle and the common snapping turtle, that actually sit and wait for fish to come by and then just snag them.
Who are their primary enemies as far as the animal kingdom is concerned?
Right now at the box turtle, there's probably cars.
Really?
Cars smash them quite a bit. Other than that, a raccoon might be able to dig them out, but the box turtle, the reason it has its name is because they can totally enclose their whole body, their legs, their head, their tail, everything inside that shell. And it's a magnificent form of protection that's been around for millions of years.
How long can they remain dormant or in that state?
Inside the shell, mm-hmm, as long as they wish. They can get air through the pocket, little air pockets. There's plenty of air in there. Whenever the threat leaves, then they open up.
Okay.
You see, I do have water in there, but the water has little steps in it. The tank's got little steps in it so they can crawl out. They're not real good at crawling out of tanks.
Basically just a turtle bath, right?
Yes. They can soak in there. They can actually absorb the moisture through their anus and through their parts of their skin if they don't want to drink. Usually they'll come up to it and drink.
And last but certainly not least, we have some more lizards.
Yes, these are the gold tegu. A tegu is a South American lizard, and they get about 4.5 feet long. These particular ones are about 2 feet long, so they're mid-size. The tegu is a carnivorous lizard. These particular ones are eating adult mice, so they can take quite a mouthful. They have very large mouths. Quite a few teeth in there, too. So these animals, they don't have to eat their prey whole, but these particular ones are choosing to do that. They do have the claws and the teeth to rip apart their prey if they have to.
Now, would they attack a human if threatened? They would not?
No, there's very, very few reptiles and amphibians that actually attack humans. Crocodiles, some of the crocodilians will if they're protecting their nest, but most of the things just scamper off.
Okay. And all reptiles are egg layers, correct?
Yes, they're all egg layers, and they lay their eggs on land. They don't dry out.
Now, why are these two particularly parked underneath the light? There's some significance to that, correct?
Yes, all reptiles and amphibians are exotherms. That means that they get their heat from outside source. All mammals and birds are endotherms, which means they have to generate their heat from within. So about 80% of the food that we eat goes into generating our heat, which is a tremendous waste. So there is a benefit of being warm-blooded. We can go any place we want in the world without dying. Reptiles and amphibians are a much more efficient machine. When they're in the right habitat where they can regulate their body temperature by going from a heat source to a cooler shady area, they can use a lot less energy, and they can use their food for growth, reproduction, things like that, rather than filling a furnace with fuel.
People who come down to the exhibit and find these particular animals in a dormant state such as this shouldn't be disappointed, because this is basically what they do most of the time anyway, correct?
Yeah, that's another good point about reptiles and amphibians in captivity. They don't really move around too much even in the wild. It's only to find food. So when you bring them into captivity, as long as they have a modest-sized cage, and that cage is kept spotlessly clean with clean water and good, wholesome food, they do pretty well in captivity.
Now, is there anything that is not in your collection that you are hoping to get eventually?
Well, right now we're in the process of collecting more of the local reptiles and amphibians. These, after the exhibit, we'll release them where we caught them. But because I released so many last fall, I have to catch them all over again. It's important to have the local ones because, even though it's fun to see all these larger exotic ones, it's not reality for the Rockford area. We have some snakes that will attain a length of 6 or 7 feet, but they're rare. Most of them will be about 3 to 5 feet, and all of them are harmless.
Okay, Dennis Mcfall, thank you very much. Appreciate you for joining us on Forum 13. Everything you always wanted to know about reptiles, but perhaps we're not afraid to ask, but you can find out starting Tuesday, May 1st, and all through the summer, through August, here at the Burpee Museum of Natural History. That's at 813 North Main Street here in Rockford. If you want more information, you can call the museum at 965-3433. And if you want to know a lot more about reptiles, you can attend some of the special seminars that Dennis will be conducting along about the reptiles and also hosting a personalized tour of this display. And that'll be on 4 Saturdays beginning this May 5th. This Saturday from 1 to 4, and then on 3 Saturdays throughout the summer on June 16th, July 21st, and August 18th. There is a nominal fee for adults and children at the door to enter this exhibit, but it's well worth your while to come down here and learn all about reptiles and see the museum itself. This is my first visit to the museum. Shame on me. I've been in town for 11 years. But don't you delay, because it's an interesting exhibit and it's an interesting place to visit. Thank you for joining us on Forum 13. That's a report for today. Have a good one.